I almost ignored the package that arrived 3 days after my grandmother's funeral. There was no return address, just my name written in handwriting I recognized instantly. My grandmother's. The woman had been buried that same week. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was an old motel key, a faded photograph, and a handwritten note. It said, "If they're reading my will without you, go to room 214 first." My stomach dropped, because at that exact moment, my entire family was gathered downtown for the reading of her estate. Without me. My name had mysteriously been left off every invitation. According to my uncle, it was a clerical mistake. I didn't believe him for a second, and after reading that note, I knew my grandmother didn't either. I skipped the lawyer's office and drove straight to a rundown roadside motel nearly 2 hours away. Room 214 looked abandoned. The manager handed me a lockbox hidden beneath the bed. Inside were dozens of documents, bank statements, property deeds, letters, and one video recording. I sat on the dusty floor and pressed play. My grandmother appeared on screen. She looked directly into the camera. "If you're watching this, they finally did what I knew they would." My heart stopped. She explained everything. For years, my uncle had secretly controlled her finances. Everyone thought he was helping her manage expenses. In reality, he'd been quietly moving money, selling assets, and convincing relatives that I only cared about inheritance. The entire family believed I was greedy. They had no idea he was stealing from all of us. Then came the biggest shock. The family lakefront lodge everyone believed belonged to my grandmother. It didn't. 10 years earlier, she'd legally transferred ownership to me. Not because I was her favorite, because I was the only person who never asked her for money. She kept it secret to protect the property until after her death. The paperwork was sitting right there in the lockbox. Signed, stamped, legal. I immediately called the estate attorney. His silence on the phone told me everything. He hadn't seen any of these documents, because someone had conveniently forgotten to submit them. An hour later, I walked into the estate meeting. The room went completely silent. My uncle looked like he'd seen a ghost. The lawyer reviewed the paperwork. Then he reviewed it again, his face drained of color. Finally, he looked up. "Who told the family this estate belonged to the trust?" Nobody answered. My uncle couldn't, because the signatures, recordings, and financial records were all sitting on the table. Every lie he'd told for years was collapsing in real time. One by one, relatives started realizing what had happened. They hadn't excluded me because they hated me. They'd excluded me because they'd been manipulated. The room erupted. People were crying, shouting, demanding answers. And for the first time in my life, my uncle had none. The investigation that followed uncovered hundreds of thousands of dollars he'd hidden through fake accounts and forged authorizations. He lost everything. His reputation, his business. Even his own children stopped speaking to him. But the hardest part wasn't watching him fall. It was discovering how much time my grandmother spent trying to protect a family that never listened to her. Months later, I stood alone on the dock of the lakefront lodge she left behind. The sun was setting over the water. For the first time, the property felt less like an inheritance and more like a message. She hadn't left me a building. She'd left me the truth. And sometimes the most valuable thing a person leaves behind isn't money. It's proof that they believed you when nobody else did.